Coast FM now. Our regular listeners will know that on the last Wednesday of each month we're joined by Thomas Thom of the Catalyst Foundation to chat about issues affecting older South Australians, and he's joined me again in the studio this morning. He's all rugged up. Well, he was rugged up. Thomas, welcome back.
Thank you, Rob. What a lovely welcome, and hello, listeners. It's beautiful and toasty in here.
And chilly out there.
It's freezing outside. This is preparation for me, Rob. I'm headed to Tasmania in a few weeks to spend a few weeks in a Tasmanian winter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
This will get you all primed.
Yeah.
Thomas, over the past year we've talked about everything from changes to the Aged Care Act and the Support at Home program through to the Catalyst Foundation Expos.
Yeah.
And even the Pride Awards. But today we're tackling a topic that I suspect is on a lot of people's minds, housing. And I don't know about you, Thomas, but the older I get, the more complicated housing seems to become.
Yeah, when you're younger, Rob, it's fairly straightforward. You rent a place and you buy a place, you move house a few times and you just get on with life.
But as we get older, suddenly there are retirement villages, residential parks, rental housing for seniors, independent living units, supported accommodation, aged care homes, and goodness knows what else. Thomas, it all becomes just a little confusing.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair observation, Rob. Housing is one of the biggest decisions many people will make as they age, and there are certainly more options available than people often realise.
And I suppose that's part of the challenge. Most people are experts in housing. They're not experts in housing, I should say, because really it's not something they think about every day.
Oh, 100%, Rob. In fact, many people only start looking into housing options when something changes in their life, like their family home's becoming harder to maintain, or perhaps they've recently retired and they're downsizing. Sometimes it's when a partner's passed, or perhaps their children have started encouraging them to think a bit more about the future.
Well, that's certainly true, and that's certainly true what happened to Sally and I. Our younger daughter, Rebecca, said, now what do you guys want to do? So we had to seriously sit down around the kitchen table.
Look at options.
Yeah. And so, Thomas, most people don't wake up one morning and say, today I'm going to investigate retirement housing.
No, your children do, Rob.
Yeah.
You're quite right, they don't. But most often their next question is, where do I even start? So that's one of the reasons Catalyst Foundation maintains our retirement housing directory.
Now, I had a look at the directory before today's interview, and I have to admit, it's a lot more substantial than I expected, Thomas.
It really is, isn't it? It's the Retirement Housing Directory is South Australia's largest directory of retirement housing vacancies, and it's been helping older South Australians explore their housing options for many years.
Now, what we say retirement housing, or when we say retirement housing, we're mainly talking about retirement villages, aren't we, Thomas?
That's right, Rob. Where Catalyst Foundation helps people navigate a whole range of aged housing options, including residential aged care and respite care. But today we're specifically talking about retirement villages and rental housing opportunities for older South Australians. Our retirement housing directory is designed to help people who are still living independently explore what's available and start thinking about their future housing options.
And you know, that genuinely surprised me, because I think a lot of people hear retirement housing and immediately assume we're talking about buying into a village and paying a fairly substantial upfront amount like my parents did.
Yeah, that's understandable, Rob, and many retirement villages do involve an upfront financial contribution, but not everybody is in the same financial position, which is why we're pleased to also include rental housing opportunities in retirement villages where that information is available.
Which probably means that some people have more options than they actually realise.
Exactly. Sometimes people assume retirement housing simply isn't something that they can afford, and then they're pleasantly surprised when they start exploring what's available.
Now, the website itself has had a bit of a makeover recently, hasn't it, Thomas?
It sure has. Around the same time that we've recently updated the Catalyst website. So a few months ago, the directory underwent a major upgrade, and we've improved the search functions, refreshed the design, and basically made it much easier to use on not only computers but tablets and smartphones as well.
Now, speaking as somebody who occasionally finds himself arguing with technology, well, not occasionally, all the time, I actually found it pretty easy to navigate.
I'm pleased to hear that, because making it user-friendly was one of our biggest priorities.
And I think too that what struck me, Thomas, was that you're not just searching for a vacancy. You can actually spend some time browsing and comparing different options.
Yeah, that's correct, Rob. People can compare locations, accommodation types, providers. They can see photographs, contact details and information about the individual properties listed.
And I imagine that people often discover things that they weren't expecting.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes people assume that they'll need to move a long way from family and friends only to discover something much closer to home, while other people start looking and realise what's really important to them.
Such as?
Well, being close to shops they're familiar with, public transport or medical services. It might be staying in a suburb they already know and love, or remaining close to family and friends. So everyone's priorities are different, and the directory helps people begin thinking about those things.
And I suppose that's valuable even if you're not planning to move tomorrow.
Yeah, it absolutely is, Rob. One of the biggest pieces of advice I'd give listeners is not to wait until a housing decision becomes urgent.
That's good advice generally, isn't it?
I only give good advice, Rob. The best housing decisions are often made when people have time to consider their options carefully. Even if someone ultimately decides to stay exactly where they are, having information available means they're making an informed decision rather than a rushed one.
And look, I think that's a really important point, because just because you're looking doesn't mean you're packing boxes next week.
Exactly. Knowledge creates choices, Rob.
Now, Thomas, let's talk about retirement village contracts for a moment, because I've heard plenty of people say they find the financial side very intimidating.
Yeah, and that's understandable, Rob. The retirement villages can be a wonderful option for many people, but it's important to understand that not all villages operate in exactly the same way.
Now, that's understandable. Now, I've had friends move into villages and no two arrangements seem identical.
Yeah, that's often the case. There can be differences in the ongoing fees or maintenance charges, the services provided, the maintenance arrangements, and even what happens when someone leaves the village.
And Thomas, I suspect that where people become nervous, not because they don't like the village, but because they're worried about signing something they don't fully understand.
Yeah, that's right, which is why we encourage people to ask questions and take their time before making a decision.
So what sort of questions should people be asking?
Well, questions about ongoing fees, what services are included with those fees, maybe what happens if they decide to leave, whether there's deferred management fees or exit arrangements. So the more people get information up front, the more confident they're going to feel in making a decision.
And there are places people can go for independent information about these sort of things, I'm assuming?
Yeah, absolutely, and particularly around retirement villages. There's the Office for Ageing Well. The South Australian Government provide excellent information about retirement villages, including contracts, fees and residence rights. We've got a range of fact sheets ourselves at Catalyst Foundation, and there's also SAVRA, the South Australian Retirement Villages Residents Association, which provides information and support for people wanting to better understand retirement village living.
Which is reassuring, because sometimes people don't need someone to make the decision for them. They simply need someone to help them understand the landscape.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, Rob.
Now, Thomas, let's be clear. The directory isn't a complete list of every retirement housing opportunity in South Australia, is it?
No, and it's important that we're transparent about that, Rob. So housing providers choose whether they provide information to us. Some do and some don't, so we never claim that it includes absolutely everything in South Australia. What we can say is it's the largest retirement housing directory in South Australia, and a really valuable starting point for people beginning their search.
And I think starting point is probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I think so too, Robert. The directory isn't there to make the decision for people. It's there to help them identify possibilities and understand what's available.
Now, if somebody's listening to us today and thinking, and of course there are thousands listening today, if somebody is listening today and thinking, this sounds useful, but I'm hopeless with computers, what should they do?
Give us a call at the Catalyst Foundation.
As simple as that?
Yeah, it's as simple as that. Where listeners can visit our website and access the directory online. They can access the retirementhousingdirectory.com.au online. But if computers aren't your thing, we're really happy to help over the phone. We help people navigate the directory, discuss housing options and point them towards appropriate resources.
And that's still part of Catalyst Foundation's information service?
Absolutely, Rob. Sometimes sometimes a conversation is all that someone needs.
And if somebody needs a little more support...
Well, Catalyst Foundation now offers a fee-for-service housing support program for seniors who'd like more hands-on assistance, Rob. So that might include...